The Aji Network Top 1% Mission-Focused Course for Managers. The Aji Source Fundamental Strategy, a top 1% 12-part fundamental strategy. A top 1% skill available exclusively from the Aji Network. The recorded talk you're about to see was produced by the Aji Network for one of its 4 online mission-focused offers. The Aji Network is a business education company that has been helping ambitious business people to earn top 1% annual incomes between $400,000 and $4 million for more than 30 years. Why is it important to earn top 1% incomes? This is the real amount of income people need to earn in order to live a good life during adulthood and save enough money to continue to live a good life during 25 years plus of unemployment or old age. The actual amount you may need to earn depends upon your age and current savings. When business people earn these incomes, they're able to avoid the suffering, chronic stress, and shortened lifespans caused by running out of money before they die. Put another way, only these incomes enable business people to afford the goods and services everyone requires every day of their life, regardless of their age, to take satisfactory care of the most fundamental human concerns: housing, healthcare, food, transportation, medical care, family visits, and play. The Aji Network's top 1% focus isn't about greed, fame, or expensive toys. It's about survival. Our focus on enabling business people to produce top 1% incomes with our strategic knowledge is practical and strategic, rather than political, greedy, or immature. It's about having enough money to survive, be free, and live a good life during adulthood and 25 or more years of unemployment during your old age. The simple addition of the cost of goods and services required to take care of fundamental and essential human concerns leads people to this conclusion, even if it's not politically correct to say so. The numbers add up as they do, and the math plays no politics. This talk is one of more than 30 top 1% recorded talks available in the Aji Network's 4 online mission-focused offers. The mission-focused offers include 4 courses designed to help executives and business owners, managers, salespeople, individual contributors. Each course is available online and consists of 6 or 12 4-week sessions. Each session contains at least 1 recorded talk and 2 to 4 essays from our top 1% strategic offers. The purpose of each course, which can be accessed from anywhere in the world, is to enable participants to think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively enough to fulfill new and challenging business missions as well as personal financial ambitions in the most rapidly changing, technologically advanced, and competitive global marketplace in human history. The talk you're about to see is an excerpt from a larger talk in which Toby Hecht, founder and CEO of the Aji Network, presents the Aji Source Fundamental Strategy, a top 1% 12-part fundamental strategy for ambitious business people seeking to produce incomes between $400,000 and $4 million. One course of action that distinguishes managers who can think and act effectively and strategically and competitively enough to fulfill challenging business missions and their personal financial ambitions is knowledge of the fundamental strategy or action plan. They must execute at all times and under all circumstances in every moment of their career and with every action they take in their business. The 12-part top 1% fundamental strategy managers need to use in order to compete successfully in rapid change and intense global competition is introduced in this talk. This is one of the most requested talks of the Aji Network by business owners, executives, managers, and individual performers. This is because of the new intuition it immediately produces for people to think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively enough to fulfill their financial, career, and business ambitions. Ambitious business people can begin using the strategy immediately to diagnose the reasons their project, sales, management, or strategy are or are not producing the outcomes they intend. It can also be used as a methodology to produce new offers and practices for your career and business and to increase your income. Business owners, executives, and managers use this talk with their teams to produce a more effective, strategic, and competitive orientation for their management and staff. In addition, the fundamental strategy enables business people to begin to quit their reliance on common sense, common business knowledge, and common networks that are certain to thwart their intentions to earn a living. Enjoy the talk.
To begin, though, we'll start at the yellow dot, right? Because this is not idle stuff that I'm doing. So if people were just coming in and watching the video and they didn't know we'd done this, I divided the board in quarters. I divided this in fifths and this in fifths and came up with this is 1% of the board. And I made this a graph of all incomes in the United States, starting at 0 and going up to $5 billion. Yeah. And when we see the spread of it all, we go, oh, 99% of the people in the United States are earning $400,000 below, and they're all in this little yellow dot, right? And the top 1% has all the rest. And this strategy is a transition from here over to here, and I will say why. right? You memorize this, you work it, it's the rest of your career that you live in this. Okay. Now, this is going to be simply an orientation to it. If you are actually going to learn this, there's 100 pages written about on each one of these, and about 75 questions to answer for each part of the strategy. What I mean is, this is not common sense. I'm just going to orient you to it. It will let you get started with it, but no, the bottom 99% thinks like, oh, I'll get this. No, you won't, right? Not possible. Can you get the gist of it? Sure you can. And you can begin to work with it right away. But I don't want to mislead you that what will keep happening to you over these 2 years, right, is you'll keep falling into, I had no clue what that strategy meant, right? And then you'll be done after 2 years. And after 2 years is usually when people study the strategy, although occasionally we have people call up and they go, I just want the strategy, and they really work it. When people do work the strategy, they work it first for a year, each part, right? It happens to be 12. That wasn't, there's nothing to do. People go, did you do that? No, I did not do that on purpose. There were 12 parts to it. You'll see what they are. And then the second year, they do the same thing, but they work all 12 parts every month from one part of the strategy from its point of view. That is, they're all interrelated. So the first time through, people go, what is each part? The second time through, they go, how does each part relate to all the other 12 parts? And when that comes together, they get the point. All right? I'll do a little of that with you. First claim is you can't succeed in the marketplace without a fundamental strategy, and I've not explained what that is. I'll get to it. Can't do it. Can't be done. And then people who argue, yellow dot. You think I've heard arguments all, I'm going to figure this out myself? Not a hope in hell. And all those people are bottom 99%. Can't be done. I spent years learning how to develop that strategy. And people begin to say, how did you do that? And I said, well, here's the strategy. Here's how it works. So, first thing to be clear about, I think I'll come back over here, because I'm going to put a bunch of distinctions up here for you. A strategy, whatever it is, I'll explain it in a moment, must have an outcome. That is, nobody ever does a strategy which is an action plan without doing the action to produce an outcome. So this strategy is aimed at 3 particular outcomes. All right? The ultimate ambition of this strategy is to enable you, people, ambitious business people, to earn, save, and invest enough money to survive your whole life, be free your whole life, and live a good life your whole life, right? Or until you're about 90 years old. Now, if that isn't your ultimate ambition, to be free, right, to survive, to live a good life your whole life, this is not worth learning. But if you want to avoid suffering, pain, despair, poverty, failure, and an early death, this would be pretty helpful in this marketplace. Now, the thing to know about this marketplace, it is the most highly competitive, rapidly changing global marketplace in human history. It's organized totally around the existence of computers, knowledge, communications, productions, money, flowing around the world so that America isn't protected anymore. It's all there. And if you don't have an ultimate fundamental strategy, which I haven't explained yet, to work your way through it, then all you do is complete tasks. All you do is react. Yellow dot. Task orientation, yellow dot, no guidance, no action plan. Nothing flows to the next thing. Nothing builds power. Okay? The strategic objective of this strategy is to produce, maintain, and increase your competitive advantages over time, your ability to produce superior value that isn't mediocre and priced over time, and to produce top 1% incomes between $400,000 and $4 million a year, because that's what the prices in the marketplace require you to earn given your expected lifespan. You add up the numbers. People have been doing it around me for 25 years, and they go, I don't have this big ambition. I just want a nice little house to live in, a nice safe car or two to have. I don't even want to go on a fancy vacation. I go, fine, figure it out, add it up. Not one has ever come back and gone, you're right. Just to do my little small ambition that I don't think was very much, I need $400,000 to $4 million a year, and the people who don't give it, into poverty during their old age. Unless you got somebody who actually promised you a pension and keeps the promise. You understand, promising a pension and keeping the promise isn't done so well. Because the people who make the promise tend to go away to another job one day. Right? Meanwhile, you're there going, well, they're gone. Right? And it's to fulfill the tactical objective of enabling you to produce a steady stream of new offers, practices, narratives, and strategies with highly valued marginal utilities that are scarce relative to demand. Endless stream of them, about at the rate, at the speed of 1 every 15 minutes. That's how quickly you need to keep improving your offers, practices, narratives, and strategies. Boom. Boom, boom. And you can't do it if you don't know how. Can't be done. With this, you can do it. Now, get to a strategy. People don't understand strategies. They use the word. So let's build it. We're going to build a strategy here. A strategy is not a task. That's the first thing. It isn't a task. It's not a job. It's not something you do when you're done. All right? Strategy is a plan of action for sure, and it certainly has an objective, which I'll talk about, and then the strategy is over, but it's not a task. And it's not a job. And nobody who is executing a strategy ever performs a task. Ever. Even if it looks like they're performing a task, they're not. Whatever practices exist in a strategy are never tasks. They're called tactics. Tying your shoe, to tie your shoe, to keep it on your foot is a task, right? Once you tie your shoe to be part of a bigger plan of action to dress right for some purpose that's going on, then it's no longer a task, it becomes a tactic, and the way you execute the tactic or the task changes so it fulfills the strategy. That is, there's a gazillion ways to tie your shoes. You can tie them in all sorts of knots, and they can fall off your feet. You can tie them what you'd call wrong. You can still tie them. But if you're going to tie your shoe to execute some objective, you take care to tie your shoe in a way that fulfills the objective. You follow? And the more you look at that, the more you'll go, oh, in the marketplace, there's a lot of ways to do everything that goes on out there, but only a few ways that will work to execute a fundamental strategy. So what you're going to do is transition, the more you learn the strategy, so that you don't do tasks ever again. And you'll get really worried if you're a manager or a business owner, because if you got people that you give them a task to do, you'll know that they'll do it the wrong way for the strategy. The odds are that way, right? So what you're going to have to do is have everybody around you understand what's strategic so that whatever you give them to do, they do it in such a way that to reach its strategic objective. They'll think that way if you build the narrative, but you can't do that if you don't know the strategy. You follow? That's how people's money goes up. All right. So then we have a practice, which is what will become a tactic, or tying your shoe is a practice. A practice is any action that people perform that they name to identify. That's a practice. So when I say tying your shoe, you don't confuse it with brushing your teeth, do you? What's the name of the practice, brushing your teeth? All right, let's do it a tricky way. I'm going to do it tricky first. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? Grant. Wow. How about that? Okay. What is the name for brushing your teeth? Brushing your teeth. And you all know what it is. Got it? Do you know what living a good life is? Let's do this. Living a good life, brushing your teeth. Which one do you know what it is? Brushing your teeth. This is not a practice. You don't know what it is. Throwing a ball, right? Improving yourself. Throwing a ball, you know what it is? Improving yourself? No. Sitting in a chair and trying hard. Because we don't know what trying hard is. All right. How about climbing a ladder and designing an offer? Which one do you know? You don't know designing. If you learn it, though, it becomes a practice. Then you go, oh, I know what that is now. The top 1% has a whole different set of practices that the bottom 99% don't even know exist, and those are used tactically as tactics to execute that strategy. We're teaching the practices people don't know to execute that strategy. First 5 parts of it. Okay? A strategy, then, is a plan of action. Right? It's a commitment to produce an outcome, right, by performing a sequence of practices that produce a sequence of new situations that progress towards the fulfillment of the strategy's objective. So you do a tactic to produce a situation that enables you to produce another tactic to produce another situation, to produce another tactic, to produce another situation that progresses until the strategic outcome is achieved. The end is incredibly important because that's when cost stops. Strategies are costly. They take time, energy, money, and lost opportunities. All right. And finally, a fundamental strategy. Fundamental strategies are everywhere. They're a type of power. Oh, I didn't do power with you, so I'll do power with you. So a fundamental strategy is a type of strategy for accumulating power. Another kind of strategy we're going to teach you in here, but not now, are a dominant strategy. You've got to know your dominant strategies. You'll need to know both of those. Now, a fundamental strategy is a course of action that underlies everything. That's what makes it fundamental. It underlies everything. The opposite of fundamental is specific. The way you work with a fundamental strategy is you apply it to every specific situation you're in, everyone. And if it is in fact fundamental, you will find that it is in fact essential in every specific situation. So if I call it a fundamental strategy, it doesn't mean it is one. It is one only if you go, every situation, this applies. Now, you see that with flying an airplane. Every single airplane flies fundamentally the same way. No exceptions ever. And what pilots learn is the fundamental strategy of flying a plane. Planes have 3 fundamentals, always. A wing, a source of thrust, and some form of fuel to power the thrust. Don't need people, right? But you must have a wing, and you must have thrust. And you must have some fuselage or some means. It could be solar panels. Some of them have solar panels. But there's either some fuel in them or there's some means of getting the fuel for the thrust. Those are the 3. The wings always work the same way, right? When the air goes by them and they're curved, the air goes underneath them straight, but the curve of the wing pops the air up and produces a low-pressure zone above the wing, and it lifts it. Planes don't fly. That's an illusion. Planes fall. That's all they do, ever. Just turn off the thrust and you find out. Right? What it is when you take off in a plane is a long, controlled fall to your destination. Just ask a pilot. How's that? They don't fly, they fall. Right? And they manipulate the physics in such a way that it falls gently just where you want. It's what you don't want is the unexpected encounters with the ground. Is that making sense to all of you? That's what pilots are managing, is a long, controlled fall. Weird, huh? All right. Now, this fundamental strategy, like for flying an airplane, is business, people. All the parts of businesses and people, this strategy addresses. They're always in play, and every moment you'll see that. You have to learn all 12 parts. We're working on the first 5 in here. aiming at the 6. That's where we keep throwing you. We'll go, build your networks. Oh, you can't? Then these are the 5 things you need to learn. Oh, can't build your network? You need to improve these. Can't build your network? You'll need to improve these. Once you can build your network, you can move on. But you can't get to the next part until you can build your networks. Just can't go there. And you'll keep being beat by the people who can build their networks, even if it's 2 people. Any one. Yellow dots can't build a network. So far, so good. Power is in the marketplace, right, is superior capacity to think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively with offers, practices, narratives, and strategies. Now, here's the way it works. There's 2 ways to think about power. They are thought differently in competitive situations than non-competitive situations. In a non-competitive situation, knowledge is power. Oh, it's your hobby to grow roses? Do you have the power to do it? Oh, yeah, I know how to do it. You have the power to do it. You can, plan with the bulbs and do what they do, and there they grow. But in a race where you're competing, your capacity to perform has to be superior to whoever is in second place. Second place always sets the standard for number 1. In a transaction, what is your aim? Or if you're selling competitively to have your offers accepted, trying for a job, selling a product or service, how much better do you have to be than number 2 to get the transaction? That's all. And that's all the cost you want to use, just to be good enough to beat and have the transaction. You don't need to blow them out of the water. Businesses and people win prizes for blowing people out of the water, and then they tend to go bankrupt the next year. Right? The way you win the competition is always by a nose. You don't want to expend any more money, time, energy, opportunity. Just that. That's all you got to be. All right? So, in the marketplace, which is all about transactions and offers, practices for fulfillment and design, narratives that explain things so that you know how they operate, and strategies like action plans to win in the marketplace, power is superior capacity to think and act effectively to fulfill your intentions, strategically with an action plan, right, and competitively so it's just enough superior to get whatever you're after with offers, practices, narratives, and strategies. So now we're going to talk about the Aji Source Fundamental Strategy. The first part of the strategy, constituting your personal ambitions. So an ambition, right, when we're business people, right, we have 3. They nest. They fit inside one another. We have a lifestyle ambition. Now, sometimes people think, oh, I'm lying on the beach. I don't mean that. I mean that you can pay your bills, that you can get the help you need, you can get food, clothing, shelter, health care, take care of your family. How are you going to live? All right? Now, I'm 61. I was a hippie, right? Remember hippies? Long hair, beard, all that stuff. I had it all. Blue jeans, the works, right? And I kept running into So that would beat me. I mean, you know me. That was going, So, but a lot of the hippies thought, oh, this thing about money is so crass. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to live on a kibbutz. I'm going to live in a commune. We're all going to grow our own food together. Now, I just bought 95 prime acres of land in Sonoma County, right? In the process of buying it, we came across the yurts, the places where the hippies used to live, that they went, this is way too hard, right? But they're still standing out there in Sonoma County where the buildings were and the plots were, and they go, they didn't last 6 months, 18 months, or whatever it is. The least expensive way to get your food is in the grocery store. But people think, I'll grow myself. Talk about time, energy, money, and lost opportunities. Nothing like going to your local grocery store and picking up some celery. You understand? It doesn't compare. And the amount of help you get when you go to a grocery store is beyond comprehension for most people. Every vegetable grown by somebody, all the meat, all the canned goods, everything distributed, manufactured, distributed, shipped, all that stuff. You get a better offer on the planet than that. And in order to have that lifestyle, the cheapest way to get it is with a financial ambition. that is coherent with financial reality. Right? What are the prices? Oh, I really do need $400,000 to $4 million. And if you haven't figured it out, it's a junior high school kid problem. Junior high school kid with basic math can figure out why that is that way. You all know your bills, don't you? I mean, you have a checkbook or something on your computer. Add it up. You'll see. All right? And then, to fulfill this ambition, you need to have money. To have money, you need to have a career ambition. They nest. All right? And you'll see them on our website, too. You can do them. With your spouse, absolutely. Okay? Because if your spouse isn't in the game with you, the practice won't be coherent. So, what are our ambitions? There are a set of commitments. Yes, I'm going to take care of my body, my family, my job, play, socializing, gaining knowledge, producing identities, belonging to different discourses, living in the world, facing the fact of my death and buying insurance, right? Coping with situations that appear out of nowhere, living with dignity, right? You recognize what I just did? Yeah. Well, those are what you got to take care of, and you'll need money to do every single one of them. People say, oh, I don't need money there are things that are more important than money. I go, like what? Just spending a nice day on the beach with your kids doesn't cost anything. I went, what planet are you on? You got to get there. You got to get back. Eat. I mean, really, people are absurd. Yellow dot. You need to be an adult to do this game, to live a good life. Our country's a little short on adults right now. Time to grow up. Live in the truth. They understand, with a guy like me who's trying to make money, when I'm around people in denial, do I know it really fast? Do I avoid them? Is it nice? Yeah. Remember the talk the first day when I said, we don't trust each other, and I said, and I don't trust you? Again, they go, you might have thought, what's he talking about? This will be part of it. People who don't live in long enough horizons of time with the commitments that are appropriate for the world the way that it is have bad judgment. No matter what they say and how important they think it is and how earnest they are about it, it's bad judgment. It's flawed, it's weak, it's shallow, bogus, right? No matter what they're thinking, if it's not in the story of a whole life of a mature adult, Make sense? Without ambition or commitments, there is no possibility of action. None. Zero. Can't exist. The prerequisite of action is commitment. Action is the fulfillment of commitment to take care of a concern. Where there is no commitment to take care of a concern, there is no action. So if you don't know what to take care of and you're not committed to it, you're not acting to do it. Action isn't movement. Action is intention to take care of some concern. You have to learn what to take care of. You've done a safety course sometimes. They say, here's what you watch out for. Right? You don't know what to watch out for, you're dead. I did that with you already. No, you never went home, right? Never showed up at home with your card filled with gas and went, oh, wow, I didn't even mean to do that. I went to the gas station and filled my car with gas and I didn't even mean to. Never happens. Same thing is true about living a good life or having enough money. It never happens unless you intend to do it. And if you don't know how much you need, you can't intend to do that. Yellow dot. Bottom 99% is in denial about how much money they need. They're scamming. They're trying to get away with it. Ain't going to work. No one produces incomes between $400,000 and $4 million a year who doesn't damn well intend to do it no matter what they say publicly because their marketing agent said, oh, shucks. Say that to people. So you look humble. They're making money on purpose. And every time I've hired them, and I've hired a lot of pros, pay me the money, and then they're nice. Only after you commit to something, which requires you know what to commit to, can you learn to think effectively, right? Think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively to do it. Before you know what to commit to, you can't. You need to know your ambitions. How much money? Where are you going to live? What's it going to cost? Talk with your spouse about it. Now, one of the things about ambition is this. They're not artifacts. An artifact is a man-made object. right? They're not natural objects like a rock. They're commitments. The moment you forget your ambitions because you're distracted, because something more important came along, is the same moment all the ambition disappears, all the thought and action disappears like smoke in the wind. Bam! Your ambition isn't what you write down, with your spouse or yourself whenever you're doing it. It's what lives with you every moment of your life in the marketplace. Every moment. Because the moment you stop, you'll betray it. You understand? An ambitious business person really is a being who makes commitments and holds them and works them. And if you go to work and you go, oh, God, I lost it. I was busy. Yep, you're done. Yellow dot. It's not easy. Psychological strength. All right, next one. Philosophies of care and power. When I went to college, I never studied philosophy. I was so put off by the college students and how they thought, and their professors and how they thought about philosophy, I couldn't stomach it. I mean, I didn't know anything about philosophy. What I knew was crap when I saw it. You understand? If you call crap philosophy, fine, it's still crap. And I began to understand as I grew older that philosophy may be the only discourse, at least that I know, that isn't for children. Marriage or parenting, it would be in that. It's not for children. Kids in college can't study philosophy unless they have one heck of an adult teaching them, right? When you got, graduate students or people who write papers who don't live real life teaching a philosophy, it's like academic. Like, who cares what Socrates said? Who cares about Nietzsche? I mean, well, who cares unless it has something to do with life? I found myself, when I was in my 30s, I went to a conference in Berkeley where all the world-leading experts on Heideggerian philosophy assembled to present their papers to one another, and I thought that would be a place to go. So I bought myself a ticket, and I sat in the gallery while they read their papers. Now, I learned 3 things about that. First is, that's what they did. They got in front of the room, in front of a lecture hall, in front of a lectern, and they never looked at the audience. They looked like this, and they read their papers. That was the first thing. It was like, got it. Okay, they were going to read their papers. That's what they did. The second thing I learned is all I understood was and, the, but, is, for, about. I mean, I understood those words. The rest of it, not a chance. And I study philosophy. Third thing is, the leading guy from Europe, the head that everybody respected about Heideggerian philosophy, got up at the end when all the philosophers could talk with one another, that was the rules they did, about that. He said, look, we're wasting everybody's time, including our own. And I went, because I thought my time was wasted. I mean, it was interesting to be there once. I wasn't going to come back again. He said, we're talking to ourselves. Philosophy is for people, right? We're all talking to ourselves. Nobody understands what the hell we're talking about. I went, well, that would be me. He said, we need to stop this crap, and we need to start talking to people because that's what our job is. Help people live a good life. I was like, you understand? Now, what philosophy is and why it's so important and why it's adult is it is about truth. It is about what's real and what isn't real. And it's about how to live a good life or how to succeed or not. And if you're not an adult who cares about those things, you can't relate to the philosophy. Okay? Now, you're in a philosophy class here. We're going to do all sorts of practical stuff, but business is a competition of philosophies. Business owners live in a philosophy. Here's my philosophy about how to do my business. Right? And they act in it, and the philosophies compete. They compete on the philosophical premise of what they're doing and their ability to execute. That's what you're doing in business, not tasks, not working hard, not pulling levers, not running machines, but living in a philosophy about what you need to take care of, what's real, and how to live a good life or succeed. That's what I'm teaching you. Okay? Business is practical philosophy in action and competition. That's what you're going to do. Pursuing a weak, flawed, bogus philosophy, a shallow one, an old one, a common one, a mediocre one, you're out. Yellow dot. They love, like time is money, what I did earlier. Not. People think time is money. They can't function well. They got to know time is a space of possibilities in which you can make money, and when the space ends up, you can't make money. Follow? They don't know what knowledge is. Hard work, insistence on being the rugged individual, that worked during the Industrial Revolutions. Doesn't work today. There's no rugged individual out there who can win. Only teams, only networks. You can't be in a network, you're out. Marginal, common philosophies like any other are stale, lacking in vitality. They define mediocrity, not for what you do, not for what you have to be in the top 1%. Now, philosophy of care is what do you care about? That's simple, right? I mean, who knows what to care about? This strategy is a philosophy. People didn't want to know this philosophy for, I don't know, when I was teaching. First 15 years. Never thought to ask me. Finally, a group went, how do you know how to do this? How do you know to design the business professionals course? How do you know to design the LEAP program? How do you know how to do all those things? I said, it's a strategy. I said, what's the strategy? I said, thank you for asking. So I told them. They said, I got to learn that. I said, I know, but I can't shove it down your throat until you want to learn it. And we want to learn it. So I sat down and I wrote 1,200 pages for the 12 parts of the strategy and 75 questions or so for each one, and then went, by golly, this is what I needed to know. There we go. Got to know what to care about. What do you care about money? What do you care about costs? What do you care about offers? What do you care about in practices, narrative, strategies? I'm keep teaching you stuff. This is what you care about to be in the top 1%, and the bottom 99% is clueless. Engineers learn what to care about to be an engineer. Lawyers learn what to care about to be a lawyer. Doctors learn what to care about to be a doctor. They're different domains. To be in the top 1%, different domain of care. All right? Then a philosophy of power, right? That's the way you accumulate superior capacities to think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively. What does it mean to think? It means to build narratives, stories, right? When you think effectively, your stories are effective. When you act, you take care of concerns. To compete, they've got to be effective, which means fulfill your intentions. They've got to be strategic. That means they've got to build in action plans. And they've got to be competitive in that they've got to have marginal utility and value beyond your competitors. End of story. When you're talking about power, forms of power are what you usually see first. They're practices. Right? Which are the practices that produce superior capacities to think and act effectively with offers, practices, narratives, and strategies? But people want to know sources of power. It comes from somewhere, always. Tools are a source of power. Money is a source of power. Knowledge is a source of power. Networks are a source of power. Identities are a source of power. And if I keep going, you will eventually see that every one of these are sources of power. Follow that? That's what you're learning to get. Places from which you can produce superior capacities. Okay? Categories. You know, I'm reasonably good at accounting, right? But accounting money is a category. So I can know enough about accounting to do a certain thing, but I'll go to a CPA or an attorney or somebody who's an expert at that, because in the category of finance, I know some, but I don't know it all. And I was looking at the doctors, they all consult. It's like, I do internal, I don't do the service. We have categories of power, and you move in the categories, right? There's axioms, which is, how does power operate? Marginal utilities, investment. How do they operate? You need to know the axioms. How does it do? And there's methods. To accumulate it. Oh, competitive learning, buying tools, hiring people, organizing. Those are methods, right, for accumulating power. If you don't know how to do them, right, not 1%, not top 1%. Are you properly overwhelmed yet? That was 2. But really, what I'm after here is not just to overwhelm you, but to reveal to you, right, that there is something that people in the top 1% know that the bottom 99% are totally clueless exists. You got that? And if you're going to be the lead guy in your business, fine. If you're going to be the second one, or the third one in there, you got to know what the head guy's thinking to help them. If you're going to be number 2 or number 5 or number 10, you got to go, oh, if I'm going to make money, that's what the head guy's trying to do. And boy, will you get hired and be of value if you know this stuff to help who's number 1. You can even learn this. A lot of students do this. They actually end up knowing more about this than the boss. And the boss goes, how'd you learn that? And they start to help, and they get paid more. Sometimes the boss won't do this, you understand, because they know it all, right? And then you guys, you get real value. You become essential. And the other is if you're out there working, what do you suppose your customers are concerned with? Same things? I mean, isn't every airplane pilot concerned with the same fundamental strategy? Don't you know, when you're learning this, don't you know what's going on with your customers better? Your employers, your employees, your colleagues, you know everything much better, which means you can anticipate what they're going to think and do, because they have to, or they'll fail. And when you see it happening, you go, whoa, because you memorize this stuff, and you go, I know what's going on here. Oh, they're missing an identity. Oh, they're missing, you got it. People who don't know this are clueless. Okay? So it's not just about overwhelming, it's revealing. Okay? Produce a steady stream of new offers, practices, narratives, and strategies. That's money. These are not money, right? One country agrees to use this, another country agrees to use this, right? They compete against each other, but they're substitutes for money. If you think this is money, how do you make it? You have to buy a printing press. You understand that the philosophy that this is money is flawed. People who want to make money and they want to make this, the only option is a printing press. If you knew that money was offers, practices, narratives, and strategies, then you go, oh, I see, if I want this, to make money, real money, I need to make offers of help, narratives that help. All right? Offers, practices, narratives, and strategies. Offers are announcements that you make to people of a promise of help you're willing to fulfill for them on the condition that they make you a promise in return that you request. Follow that? An offer is an announcement. I'm willing to make this promise to help you earn $400,000 to $4 million a year, right? And you go, that's an interesting promise. I like that promise. What do I got to promise you back to have you fulfill that promise for me? And I go, there's only two, and there's always only two. One is you have to pay me the purchase price. That's every transaction. The second is you must accept delivery. That's maritime law, thousands of years old. Right? The person who receives the other side has to pay the purchase price and accept delivery. What is accept delivery in this course? You got to show up. What else you got to do? You don't have to do assignments. I don't care if you do assignments. I mean, you have to do them for another reason. Yes, you have to learn the knowledge. If we see you're in here paying us, but you're not learning the knowledge, you're not accepting delivery, we know you're going to fail. It's not ethical to keep you. You understand? It's not ethical for you. It's not ethical for us. And people are used to being taken advantage of, and they are shocked when we actually take you out of the course because while you're willing to pay us, and we appreciate that, if you're not learning this stuff, we go, it's not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for us. We're not going to do this with you. Huh. It's like, there's a truth for you. That's top 1% truth. Money is not an artifact, a man-made thing. Money is not an artifact. Money is a phenomenon. Money is something you can observe as people behave, act. It isn't something you can see like a thing. When you see people transacting, they're making money. Money is help. So you get that to make $400,000 to $4 million a year, you've got to make many offers, many narratives, many practices, many strategies, and none of them can be common.
Thank you for watching this excerpted talk. Need help in fulfilling your business mission and personal ambitions? Would you like to learn how we could be of value to you? Please call or email us 408-730-8255 2234. request@theajinetwork.com. We can answer your questions or make recommendations to help you and your organization learn the strategic knowledge that is now required to compete successfully in today's rapidly changing, technologically advanced, and competitive global marketplace. We can also help you invite people in your network, colleagues, employers, employees, or customers, to participate with you in the Aji Network's mission-focused offers so their value to your network increases. The Aji Network helps ambitious business people gain the top 1% strategic knowledge they need to earn a living in the most competitive, rapidly changing, complex, and technologically advanced global marketplace in human history. To earn a living today requires people to make enough money to live a good life during adulthood while raising a family, and save enough money to continue living a good life during their old age. This requires most business people to learn how to produce annual incomes between $400,000 and $4 million. The exact amount depends on one's age and current savings. The Aji Network's 4 mission-focused offers help ambitious business people think and act effectively, strategically, and competitively enough to fulfill new and challenging business missions as well as their personal financial ambitions. The mission-focused offers are offered online, which means people can work with the material by themselves and with others anywhere in the world. The Aji Network also offers 4 strategic offers. Our strategic offers help ambitious business people fulfill their career, financial, and business ambitions, which usually requires they earn incomes between $400,000 and $4 million, depending upon their age and current savings. Please give us a call.